I watched the first 2 episodes of Adolescence
So did I.
on Netflix.
In fact, I did you one better. I watched all 4 episodes of Adolescence.
That's like me times 2 because there's 4 episodes. Well, no spoilers here.
Which makes me better.
I'm better than you. I've seen them all. And I remember them.
I'm not going to spoil episode 3 and 4 for you. In fact, I don't even think we need to spoil any of them for anyone. But
No.
we can talk about it. And let's see. What did you think of the first 2 episodes of Adolescence?
I think it's pretty good so far. It was difficult for me to ascertain because I watched the first episode and already having read about it.
Mhm.
So I already knew that the kid was going to be seen as guilty.
Okay.
Whereas my wife watched it.
Guilty of what, sir?
Guilty
Because
of murder. We haven't set it
actually
up.
talked about.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. If you haven't seen it or heard anything about it, so it's a show where it starts off. It pretty much drops you in there. In medias res, I believe is the Latin. Maybe we can. If that's wrong, we'll just green screen it. It's fine.
Cinema verite.
Mise en scene.
Mise en scene. Juxtaposition.
Comment appelez-vous? Didier Deschamps.
Omelette du fromage. Yeah.
That's what I like to do when I'm pretending to speak another language. I just say footballers' names in that language.
Yeah, and then do your hand
Didier
gesture.
Deschamps, Thierry Henry, et Elefou.
Levi Strauss, 501 jeans. Go on, what's the story?
What's the story? So yeah, it drops you in there with a 13-year-old kid, Jamie,
yeah.
Jamie, getting arrested on suspicion of murdering someone.
Moida.
We're arresting you on suspicion of murder. Get down on your hands and knees, you punk, or I'll fill you full of...
I didn't do it.
I'll fill you full of daylight if you don't get down on your hands and knees.
Here's the problem with moida. There's not enough moida. The troll's back. Any seasoned listener from Chatting Pitch would understand that the troll every now and then comes back.
Yeah.
But
he's someone who doesn't like things.
Yeah. He hates it so much that he has to say...
He's memorized all the Cinema Sins YouTube videos.
That's right.
Memorized them all.
100 things you didn't know about trolls.
Yeah.
Number 1, I'm not a troll.
Another thing wrong with that troll video, there wasn't enough trolls in the troll video.
And I've seen Troll 1 and 2.
So anyway, story. Let's explain the story. We've got to keep on track here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Chatting Pitch. Keeping on track. Matthew D. Smith, Leslie Way.
Yeah, let's go.
Melding our faces together. Green screen. Green tea. Green horns. We're new to this.
Adolescence, right. Episode 1.
Yeah, Green Adolescence.
We got there.
Green Power Ranger. Like the Green Power Ranger, sometimes we go off track and we turn evil. But then we get back on the right track. And soon we'll become the White
groceries,
Ranger.
lettuce.
Green groceries, yes.
Pak choy.
Green
beans.
Yeah.
Adolescence.
So, they arrest him, and they arrest him on suspicion of murder. His family go in with him. Stephen Graham plays his dad very effectively. It's quite nice as well because Stephen Graham was getting a lot of the publicity focused on him, as well as the fact that it was a show made where every episode is one continuous shot. There's no blending or anything like that going on either. No trickery. It's actually all one shot, which I don't think distracts too much.
No, I was able to fully invest in it without it being too gimmicky because it wasn't really about the gimmick of the one shot. The story was very much driven by the characters, and not. There was a few moments where I did think like, oh, how do they do that? And it has been subsequently explained by Netflix's official Twitter account, or X, whatever you want to call it these days. That there was an actual VFX shot in episode 2
Okay.
Were you able to point out which one it was?
Was it not the first time, but the second time he goes into the history classroom and one of the students is an 8-armed alien?
Yeah, that was it.
Can anyone tell me this about King Henry VIII? I'll tell you about Henry VIII.
Not enough Henrys.
That sounds suspiciously like the troll.
Yeah, how did you know? So if you look up on Twitter and you type in Adolescence Episode 2 Alien, you'll find all the answers.
It's all there.
Yeah.
The alien is also green. I don't want to spoil too much more of the plot, but
No.
it's from the fallout of this murder. So a body's been discovered. This kid Jamie's been arrested, and yeah, I even don't want to say what happens
the outcome
at the
is.
end of the first episode.
Of course. Because I didn't know anything about it other than the fact that everyone was saying that it's a must watch. And I binged watched all of it because of how captivating it was. I watched the first episode at about 11 p.m. at night over the weekend. And then the next episode just rolled on. You know, the way the Netflix does it. They say the next one's about to start. Yeah. And then you know, oh, go on then. I'll just watch one more. And it got to about 1 o'clock in the morning and I was like, kind of want to know what happens in episode 3. And then before I knew it, I watched the whole thing and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Very tired. But I'm glad that I
Was it like your Oscars experience where it just kept coming?
It most definitely was like the Oscar experience.
That's how they could do the Oscars from now on. It could be a limited series.
Yeah, they should.
Streaming.
In fact, you know what they should do? They should say, oh, it's only going to be 1 hour. But then they don't tell you. And then they said, if you want to keep watching, we're just going to keep going. So you can either stay with us or you can leave. And
each episode has its own description, like every
every hour there will just be a little thing at the bottom that says next episode, continuing in 3, 2, 1. I liked this. I don't like this. You know, those little thumbs up that you get on the Netflix app. Yeah,
that's what I really liked after watching the second episode of Adolescence, which is just as tense as the first episode, and then straight away it comes up with one of the most thumbed up programs on Netflix.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, your son's been convicted of the violent murder of
yeah. If you like this show,
yeah,
you'll like what is it?
One of our beta games.
Whatever Kevin Hart is like in.
Yeah.
What was that recent Kevin Hart film that he did? You'll enjoy Lift.
Oh, not Lift. Horrible.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's basically it. I really liked it. I don't think.
Does it stick the landing?
It does. I believe it does. Every episode is actually focusing on separate time periods of series of events. So I think the first one you've already seen, which is the setup, and then the second one is 3 days later. They're investigating the school, and then the third and the fourth one, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but it focuses on different character relationships with certain characters, but at a different time period. But yeah, that's all I'll say. But I think most people have resonated a lot with episode 3 because it's one of those bottle episodes.
All right,
it's just set in one location. Whereas, like, I think episode 1 and 2, you do go to different locations. Like, you go like in, out, all around, about.
You shake it all about.
Shake it all about. You know.
If you like the hokey cokey.
In episode 4, they all do the hokey cokey. No, I really liked episode 3 and 4, actually. And there's a moment in episode 3 where it's like, man, the acting pretty good. In my opinion, anyway. There's been a lot of discourse online. Some people saying like it's too slow and boring. But maybe that's just not for you. You know, I enjoyed it. I thought it was captivating. What did you think?
Well, I was going to say I enjoy how it started off, and I hope it continues in this vein for episodes 3 and 4, where it's not so much about the murder, and it's not so much about who committed the murder. It's more about why it happened.
Why? Yeah, that's.
And
I
I
think
like it. I like that it wasn't, the episode 1 episode, that ending happens, and it's not like episode 2. But what you've seen, there's a twist. It's not a twist. It's carrying on.
Yep.
And it's following these main characters as they're doing their part.
Yeah.
Um,
it does carry on like that. So it is just seeing what happens throughout time, as opposed to,
because I'd hate for it to be episode 4. I don't know. It turns out another character's done the murder, and at the end, and
it's not serialized. It is a limited show,
and now it's season 2, and he will kill again.
Jamie will return in the Avengers.
Graham, Jamie's best friend, who looks like him, will return.
Yeah, there's none of that.
And the only person who can catch Graham is Jamie. They've let him out of prison. Season 2, Twistathon.
It is very, very. I know we joke a lot, but it is a very sad show. It's very, very serious. I don't think not a lot of laughs.
Not really.
There's maybe one laugh in the second episode, like maybe between the main detective and his son character. I think.
Yeah, it's quite a nice ending to episode.
Playful banter, But yeah, I guess that's it. So we have a rating. I
was going to say, I do wonder how much the show consciously tries to plug into fears that maybe parents have. Whether those fears are over-exaggerated or not, I don't know. Being a parent of a 3-year-old, I did sit there saying, well, I can't wait for this to happen. Not the murder. But there's a conversation between the main detective and his son where it's like at the start of the conversation, they are just on completely different wavelengths. Like neither of them is in the wrong per se. They're just coming at each other from different angles.
Right.
So they're not understanding each other. Yeah. And that made me think like, well, I can't wait for another 12 years to go by and to have this conversation. But also being a teacher, you hear about stuff like this where these horrible things do happen. And we're told, in my job, we're told it's almost like a slogan where it's like, it could happen here. Like that idea of like, it's not likely to happen. But so I do wonder how much of the show's plugging into those fears of, it mentions Andrew Tate and it mentions it plays it really plays pill, on yeah definitely and it definitely plays on that fear that every parent has of, okay, at some point I'm going to stop being able to understand what my child is talking about. And every generation's gone through that because the culture changes. But I don't know if it's trying to consciously plug into the fact that it's the internet, so therefore it's happening a lot faster and a lot younger. Maybe I'm just being hopeful. Maybe I'm just sitting there as a parent going, no, that won't happen to us. But don't know. Also, I wonder if in a decade, children will have access to social media the way they do now. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it also comes down to how much exposure. I mean, I can't speak as a parent because I'm not, but I just can only imagine that, things happen at a time and place, and there's nothing you can do really as a parent to completely control exactly what they're doing in their own time, because eventually you do have to kind of give them a little bit of freedom and let them experience things the way that they do. And they just need to know from right to wrong. Like some kids can't tell what's from right and wrong.
Yeah.
Most kids are probably, they have statistically a better moral compass than others.
Yeah.
But it's also a product of their environment as well, and the kind of friends that they do end up surrounding themselves with. It also has a lot to do with kids' self-esteems, which plays a lot in this series as well. Anyway, I'm not saying that I'm an expert, but what I am saying is I'm going to give the
Let's claim to
series.
be experts.
I'm going to give the series a 5 out of 5. Another thing about
another thing that makes me an
kids?
expert is that I talk loudly.
Hey, let's wrap up this particular topic of conversation, and we'll say that we do have a rating system here, which is based on our name. Not narcissistic at all, and not self-indulgent, but we rate it based on the name of our podcast and the amount of letters there are in the podcast. So,
yeah,
Chatting Pitch. If we give it a C, that means it's the worst part of dung that we've ever smelt and watched.
And if we give it a full Chatting Pitch, oh my days, that is
the best kind of smell.
That's 5 stars. That's high quality dung.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, you can't give your full rating because you haven't finished watching it yet. But I guess we could just rate it from episode 1 and 2.
Okay.
I reckon it's a solid for me. Chatting Pitch C for me.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it.
Sure.
And I think I'd probably even give the full series that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say Chat-in is Chat-in without the G, dropping the G. That's like the middle, isn't it?
I guess
for our
so.
rating system. I guess. Let's not look into it too much. I would give it a solid Chatting Pie.
Really?
Yeah.
Not fully there. Maybe I enjoy that a lot more than you.
There were times where I sat there and I was a little distracted by. I was quite conscious that it was a oneer, and but I don't know if that's because I don't know. A bit like you, we've sort of taken a bit more time to study how to make movies and things like that. So I don't know.
Let me ask you this: if you hadn't known that it was presented as a oneer and you watched it, do you think you still would have been distracted? Or would you be like halfway through thinking, hang on a second, this whole thing's one take.
A single cut.
Yeah.
I wonder, has anyone told them?
No one told me this.
Dear Netflix, clackety clackety clack.
I don't know whether or not I'm supposed to enjoy this or not because no one told me how I'm supposed to enjoy it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, for me, I was told that it was going to be a oneer for every episode. So I went in knowing that. So I didn't look out for, did they stitch this part in? Or like, how many takes of this did they do?
Yeah.
For me, I just thought, okay, that's the setup. I'm just going to immerse myself in the characters now and the story. So it wasn't really anything. But there was one moment where in episode 2, the camera flies from inside of the classroom into the outside of the classroom during like this sequence. I won't say what it is without spoiling it, but I think you know what I'm talking about. It's like towards the end, But the camera went straight through the window. And I was like, hang on a second.
So is that the VFX shot you were talking about?
Not a real window, apparently.
Not a real window.
Yeah. That was the only part that they did that was special effects. But looking at the behind the scenes, it's incredible how they pulled it off because they had many rigs that they could attach the camera to. Right. So sometimes it was on a car, and then somebody took it off the car, and then they put it on a drone, and then they took it off the drone.
Oh yeah,
there's in the guy's hair, and they took it out of the hair, and they put it up his butt,
and they put it on a pendulum, which swung right up to Stephen Graham's face. What did you do?
And then they put it on. They put it into a hadron collider, and then they, and then we watched the black hole open, and yeah.
Oh, that's episode 3. You spoiled it.
That's episode 3. I think we've said enough that we need to say about Adolescence. Chatting Pitch has been brought to you by Leslie Way and Matthew D. Smith. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to listen to others and maybe even subscribe. You can follow us on the website, formerly known as Twitter.
Listen to us on Spotify or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Leslie and Matthew have their own side hustles as well. Feel free to check out Leslie's YouTube channel or Matthew's Medium blog. Links in the description. If you want anything else, we might have other links in the description if we think of anything interesting to add. Thank you for listening. I love you.